Welcome back to the Slide Job Podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by producer, once again on Monday, been a while, Josh Northcutt, and co host, Brandon Bull Davis. Fellas, we are here for what is kind of a disappointing weekend in NASCAR as we had, to say the least, a dog shit Kansas, kind of a new low for the next gen car. And some more bad luck for some former champs that we can get into just a little bit. But that's just how little there was. We had to talk about some bad luck. And of course, we'll go through our power rankings as well. Josh, I guess you were the one that I think watched the race more than anybody because, like, I have roommates now. I can't make them sit through this, Like, I tuned in, I see Larson up 2 seconds. I was just checking on the lineup, guys. We can go back to the Nuggets game. Like, I'm not going to make them watch this. Like, I don't even really want to watch it myself. The only reason I would ever tune back in was to see how Chase did. And once Chase's pit crew failed him, I'd pretty well checked out. Really great Nuggets game. So, I could probably sum it up in 2 words 3 times. Do you have anything else to add to it?
Well, first off, yes, it was Kyle Larson's day yet again. Bristol repeat, whatever you want to say. The man absolutely dominated, start to finish. Won the pole, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is the 5th time in a row at Kansas that a Hendricks car has won the pole when it comes to like the engine, if that's counting Spire or obviously Hendricks himself.
Okay.
But he was almost just due. Like, it was one of those, I know it sounds crazy to say with the whole, it just happened a few weeks ago, but it just felt like it was his race and it was his race to lose. Nobody could beat him off pit road. The few times that did, it was Christopher Bell, I believe, was like the closest at one point. Chase Elliott was at one point a little bit of a threat. Brad thought he was a threat, who I'm assuming you're talking about, but unfortunately his tire went boom, and that was the end of his day, basically.
But, so hold on 1 second. I do want to ask because I was confused. How did Keselowski get into second? On speed?
It was speed, dude. That car was fast.
Okay.
Like Bull said in the chat, he did the same pit stop basically as everybody else. They left the tires a little bit lighter, I guess is the term they were talking about, or less filled, I guess is the proper word.
Less PSI.
Yeah. And that's what ended up causing it to blow because, as you mentioned, with the heat and the temperatures and everything else, tires were blowing left and right during practice. I think there was at least 6 blown, including Brad. And Larson, ironically enough, on the last lap, he had to go around one more time, he would have lost the race. Because his right rear, I believe, also was going to blow. But like I said, to recap everything, was the Kyle Larson show. I got my hopes up for a little bit. I thought Christopher Bell was going to pull one out for me because he was up there. He had a fast car, but it's just for what Kansas and we all had hoped for, we did not get.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on Friday. We were pretty confident this would be a great race. I can definitely talk about something that may have contributed to this, but I want to give Bull a chance to chime in as well. I know you weren't watching, but you were listening on the radio.
Yeah, so I got to listen to the MRN broadcast. It was like Josh summed it up pretty well. Kyle Larson, it was the Kyle Larson show. He broke the record for the most laps led in a race at a 1.5-mile track. So that he broke that record by 3 laps, I think it was, leading 221 laps in that race. Another guy mentioned that Josh did mention that had unfortunate luck was Denny Hamlin. He had another fast car and maybe could have gave Larson a little something, but he had clutch issues. So that basically ended his day. And a guy that I want to give a shout out to, Josh Berry. He had a bad fast car. In that final stage, in that last run, he had a speeding penalty on pit road. And he was able to, so he had to start from the tail end and was able to drive up to sixth place. And he was flying in that last run. If he wouldn't have got that speeding penalty, he would have been up there contending in the top five, top three. And as Josh also mentioned, with Larson's tire coming out, 2-3 more laps, and Blaney would have pulled out that lucky feather finally, and he would have got that win. But we just ran out of laps. Few laps longer, and he's winning that race. He was cutting that lead, those final laps.
I feel like that's the story of the season so far for Blaney is just a couple more laps or just a little more, just something to go his way. And he has it. But that was a great point on Josh Berry. He had a bad fast car, and that seems to be kind of the theme with Josh Berry. I mean, he had a bad fast car at Texas, if I'm not mistaken, and had an incident. And that's been the main thing is he hasn't been able to finish races, which is just really weird for Josh Berry as somebody who's been consistent and is a veteran kind of presence there in the 21. So it's been stuff that isn't really in his control. The speeding penalty, yes, is in his control, but just little ticky-tack stuff there. So if he can clean that up, Josh Berry is a playoff driver even without his win, and he's still pretty close with it. So, or he's obviously in with it, but I want to give a shout out to Josh Berry because they are showing incredible speed on these 1.5 miles, and I really want to see him not have that roadblock come in the way of that. And shout out to Chase Elliott, though I have to because he hasn't showed race-winning speed. He definitely had a race-winning car here today. The name of the game, though, was track position, and I think that was in large part caused as a plane flies by. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, good. Can't. But I think the temps are the main thing. I don't know how hot it was down in Kansas that day. I will say up here, about 1,000 miles north, maybe less than that, North Dakota, it was a 90-degree day. I would imagine not too far off down in Kansas. So that plays a factor. These hotter temperatures wear the tires, I guess, make them blow, but they don't necessarily – doesn't cause better racing, which is kind of an interesting. You would think the tires are wearing more, you have to worry about your tire blowing. Would that not make it to where you can't go full throttle? But I think it's just a case of where maybe the tires aren't the everything fix that NASCAR might think it is, and maybe we just need to fix this car in terms of eliminating dirty air. And that's kind of the next point I wanted to move to, unless you guys had anything else to add on that race. What do you guys think we can do about this car to fix it? Make it to where I can show my friends. I'm proud to show my friends on a consistent basis the product that the sport brings. Either one. I didn't know who to point it to. Josh, you haven't talked in a while, so
you're good. Personally, I don't know enough about like NASCAR when it comes to like the car and the dynamics of everything, but I do know there's somebody a lot smarter than me that can go out there and figure it out.
Yeah.
This is a track that has brought us a classic finish not even 12 months ago with Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher, and that was nowhere to be found. And if the temperatures are really that big of an issue, then maybe you need to move the Kansas race around earlier in the year. I don't know.
Or move it tonight because that was a rain delay, was it not? Or was that just an automatic? Was that already?
No, it was under night because that race finished under the lights.
Correct. And I believe 2 out of the 3 of those close finishes at Kansas were under the lights.
All right.
Probably have to fact check me on that.
Okay.
So we guess we have to thank for this, guys, Fox and NBC and all of them for not liking night races because, well, the fans don't tune into it. So I can't really say I blame Fox and NBC for it, because the ratings have shown in the past that Saturday night races don't do well. However, I don't think that's a reason to go away from them completely. What do we have, like 2 or 3 on the schedule? I think
the next
ahead.
4 races, the next 3 or 4 are actually Saturday night races.
So we have them all at once. So it'll be interesting to see what that does for the ratings. All-Star I wouldn't count, but
and then we got the Coke 600.
600's on a Sunday night. Do we have a Saturday night race?
And then Nashville is a night race. That's after the
Saturday.
Coke 600.
Okay.
And then like
that
week
one will be
or two,
on Prime though. Sorry.
And then a week or 2 after that, we have Atlanta back, which is a night race.
Okay. So it'll be a little weird because that'll be on Prime, and I think both of those races will be on Prime.
Yeah, I'm gonna say everything moves to Prime after the All-Star race is from what they were all saying. So
yeah, so
which I'm interested to see how that all turns about.
It'll be a much better broadcast than the Fox. I can tell you that much.
We get Dale Jr. back.
Yeah, we get Dale Jr. back. Their promos look miles better than anything Fox has ever put out for NASCAR. And TNT, I saw a pretty good one from them as well. So I'm curious how that goes.
I guess my question would be, I get Saturday night race is usually the way they want to do it, but why can't they do a Sunday night race? We get Sunday night baseball, we get Sunday night football. What is it that NASCAR is not allowed to have a Sunday night race? Is it just Fox saying no, we're not going to show it on Sundays?
Essentially, yeah. Fox is saying they don't. That the time of the race has become heavily, if not completely, controlled by the networks, because Fox feels that 3:30 is the best start time. We used to have a more spread out schedule where East Coast races would be 1 to 2 ish, maybe a 3 here and there. You have your West Coast at 3 and 3:30, and that's what it kind of tended to be, with some exceptions in there. And now Fox essentially has everything at 3:30. I'm pretty sure that's just across the board, but we have to get to that part of the schedule for me to know for sure. But yeah, for whatever reason, they think that's the best time. For me personally, it has always been the worst time, especially when we get into school and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not in school anymore, but when I would get into school and stuff, it'd be very hard to follow. Because like on a Sunday afternoon, I'm typically doing something in the afternoon, and then evening, I'm eating dinner or something. So like, I don't know, I just feel like to watch the race, it was always a chore. When it got to that time of the year. So I've always felt that's not good, but for whatever reason, they seem to think it is.
One thing that I'm going to mention, so I don't know if necessarily the tires, if it's tire, it is tire wear, but I think the big reason the tires are blowing is because the cars are so bad. The only way that they can pass, the crew chiefs can pass, is by lowering the air pressure.
Okay, yeah.
And at the beginning of the weekend, Goodyear gives each team a sheet for what the recommended air pressure should be, based on the weather, what camber they should set it at. The teams don't have to follow that, obviously, but that's their recommendation. And obviously, if you go lower, you're gonna get your better performance, but and as you heat up, the tires air pressure is gonna go up. So I think that is one reason. The teams have found that if they start out lower, they're getting better performance on the shorter runs, and the car is so bad where you can't pass. That's found the only way they can pass is by going lower air pressure, which is then destroying the tires. So I think the tires, yes, are a component, but I think the big part is you can't pass in this car.
Mm-hmm.
On the NASCAR official NASCAR podcast, they put out this week that they did say they are going to look into raising the horsepower up to 750, and maybe even 900 or 1,000.
Okay.
They put that out 4 days ago.
I don't think that would hurt. I don't know if that's the fix, but I don't think if the drivers are asking for it, I think it's worth a look. I do think a lot of people tend to forget, and I'm not saying that this racing is a lot worse than that, but it wasn't the best in the Gen 6 when we had that high horsepower. But maybe with the Gen 7, there'll be something different in there. It's worth a shot, like you said, like you guys said. I think it's definitely worth a shot. But that was a lot of talk on the NASCAR next-gen car. But, Bull, I did want to hear your thoughts. We talked about it on Friday over the developments in the lawsuit and the judge's comments about 2311 and Front Row wanting all their cake without, I forget what the analogy was, some silly cake analogy or something.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, that one, yeah. So yeah, what's your thoughts on the judge's comments? Do you think the judges are justified? And what do you think this? Do you have any insight on what you think this is for the overall result of this case?
So, I think so. Basically, from my understanding, the original judge agreed with 2311 that the big part 2311's against is there's the clause in the contract that you can't sue NASCAR. So that's one of the big holdup points. So that was one reason why they didn't want to sign the charter agreement. So the original judge agreed that they could granted, and I can't remember the whole big words that they used, but basically, yes, you can run as a charter without this clause in the agreement that you can't sue NASCAR. So now we're in the appeals court, and this judge is basically, you can't, I don't see why this clause is an issue. There's other cases that we have with this same clause in it. And he did say that both teams need to take mediation very seriously before they go back to court. I think what's going to end up happening is 2311 is going to end up running as open cars this year. I do feel with what I've kind of been reading, I think especially this is the first time the courts have actually sided with NASCAR. So what I think might happen is I think NASCAR and 2311 will ultimately come to an agreement that they will give them for right now, that they will give them their the starting spots like a chartered car, but they're going to pay them as open cars. So basically they'll get paid as open cars, but they're treated like a chartered car in the starting field. So they'll be guaranteed a starting spot if they wreck in qualifying, something like that. I think that's ultimately kind of what they'll come to an agreement now. And then if 2311 wins the lawsuit, NASCAR will have a bank of money set aside to pay them the difference between the open and the chartered price, because there is a huge price difference between open car, what you win in an open car, and what you win in a chartered car.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what they're going to come to. I've kind of seen that floated around a few different places. But I don't right now. I don't think it looks good for 2311 and Front Row. This last court appearance did not look good for them.
Yeah, no, the comments were pretty damning, and I do kind of see the judge's point as I've thought about it a little bit more. I just don't really agree with it. I don't think NASCAR is in the right on this one, and I don't even think the antitrust lawsuit is where NASCAR is wrong. I think it's the way they handled the charter agreement and we'll negotiate for 2 years, not really get anywhere, and then we'll just give you this thing and make sure you sign it within a week or two. That's the part I think they did wrong.
And I 100% agree. I love the lawsuit, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially with Michael Jordan, he's got plenty of money to back. Denny Hamlin's got plenty of money to back. If anybody is going to put up a fight, these are the two people that you want in your corner going against NASCAR. Michael Jordan is not going to be scared of NASCAR.
No, but will Michael Jordan care enough? Will he eventually just say, okay, you don't want to do it my way, then I'm just going to leave. And next thing you know, arguably the new face of NASCAR is out the door, and then one of the most talented drivers in the world, and arguably the most talked about NASCAR driver, whether you like him or hate him. There's no in between when it comes to Bubba. So I'd argue outside maybe Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Bubba's the next most well-known driver.
I would say he's the most marketable driver in NASCAR. I think he has both the sponsorship, the backing. He brings a new audience to the sport.
Correct.
And I would say he's the most marketable driver in NASCAR. And he's got a good personality too.
Correct. So
most of the time.
I mean, you have a chance of those two guys not having rides. Like this isn't smart by NASCAR. Sit down, stop being a little dictator bullshit. Figure it out in between. Find mutual ground. But the problem is NASCAR now holds all the upper hand if the court's going to side with them. So they're not going to do that. And then it's just now hoping 2311 doesn't disappear.
But also, Josh, like you said, finding mutual ground, that goes both ways. One side can try to find mutual ground, but if NASCAR doesn't want to, because like you said, they hold all the ground now. If they don't want to try to meet in the middle and found mutual ground, where do we end up? But from everything that I've seen and heard, Michael Jordan loves NASCAR and loves the sport, which is why he ended up ultimately getting into it. So I can see him sticking around. I mean, they just invested how much money into that new shop, Airspeed. They just invested multi-million dollars into that place. So I don't see him quitting or getting out of it. But I could also see Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin trying to win a championship as an open car just to rub it in NASCAR's face.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? Honestly, it'd be beautiful. I'm rooting for it. Like Chase Elliott, I want to see win. I want that more because I think that's a more damning championship in the name of NASCAR. And before we do, one last thing I do want to say is you guys made an outstanding point, both of you, about the this isn't just front row. If it was just front row, I feel like this would be I don't even know if we'd have this conversation. The lawsuit would probably already be over. No offense to front row. Great team that's on the rise. However, the marketability with 2311, this is what could literally leap NASCAR into the next couple decades. The newfound thinking, the sponsorship they have brought. They have probably brought more sponsorship than Joe Gibbs, than Hendrick and RCR combined. I don't know. That's no actual fact I've seen. I would love it if somebody could run up the numbers on that because I don't think it'd be very far off. This team has done so much for the sport, and they're just asking for a fair trial and an ability to run as a team and still contribute to the sport like they were, and just try to get an agreement that meets their terms that they were trying to get. And I think it's just ridiculous that NASCAR cannot agree with that. But we just had another example in the NBA today where it's getting really bad. I had to mention it. It's just getting really bad with the ownership of the sports. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the Mavericks literally just traded Luka Doncic for Cooper Flag. I know you two do, but anybody watching that doesn't know,
my buddy described it. My buddy is a very strong believer in that all these professional sports are rigged. He is a very strong believer in it. And he explained it best to me. It is a game to us, a game that we love, but it is a business to them. And it's all about making money.
Yeah.
One more thing on the lawsuit. Mm-hmm. If you give Denny Hamlin, if one big thing that Denny wants, if you give him the fact that they own the charters and we just don't have the agreement, if that is their team, like a professional sports team, that's what they want. You can still have the negotiations for the TV contract every 7 years, like they've been having, but they've paid the cost of NASCAR charters now are $45 million.
Yep.
Why should now if in 7 years when this agreement runs up, NASCAR can just pull that?
Well, also Well, also think about it. They can just pull it right now since they haven't technically signed the agreement.
I'm just talking about in general.
Right.
So even from Hendrick, in 7 years, they
Mm-hmm.
can pull the charter agreement, say we're not going to do that, and the people who just bought charters paying $45 million are out that. You're just out that $45 million. So give the teams their charters. That's their team. Let them run that team.
Yeah. You got anything else to add, Josh, before we move along?
No, I know we're running long on time because we talked quite a bit about these last two topics.
Yeah, we had to get in that lawsuit.
Yeah, I wanted to go back just to this race real fast. I know we did mention Larson dominating and a few fast cars, but a shout out Chase Briscoe, top 5 finish.
Yes.
And also shout out Ryan Preece. He was running up front all day. That 60 car was fast. And I'm talking like RFK brought some fast cars. Busher also finished 8th. Very impressive running for all three.
Yeah,
Until obviously Brad blew up.
RFK's looking up a little bit.
One other guy we haven't mentioned, Corey Heim, in his first Cup start, finished 13th, and his one Cup start has already surpassed Riley Herbst's best finish in Cup Series.
I really thought you were going to go with SVG.
You could say both, but he unfortunately has a win. But yeah, he was the best finishing 2311 car. Yeah, 2311 car in the field there. So shout out Corey Heim. Shout out John Hunter Nemechek with the 10th place finish as well. Got to give the shout outs where it's due. Let's go ahead and get into Fly the Flag. It's been off for a couple weeks. Let's go ahead and bring it back. Absolute overreaction here for the first one, though. I went a little basic with this one. Is Kansas no longer a good track? Bull.
I'm going to go yellow. I think it still can be. We've seen, just like you mentioned earlier, 3 out of the 4 races were night races. We had great finishes. And this year we've seen bad races. So I don't think it's just one track. If it was just this race that's been bad, then I might have a different answer. But it's not just been Kansas. Texas was not really a good race. Bristol was not really a good race. We've had a bunch of races this year so far that were not good.
Josh?
I'm going to throw yellow just because history says it is. One bad race shouldn't make up for it. Maybe a time change, as we mentioned, but maybe a different car. I don't know. We're obviously not going to get that, but I don't think Kansas is a bad track, and I don't think it was a bad experience either. The fans looked like they were having fun. So,
yeah, no, I'm throwing the red flag. I'm the one who wrote that, but I'm throwing the red flag. That was just a little overreaction to throw out there. I don't think – I think it's like Bull said, it's just been the theme of this year is just domination. Somebody's figured out the track. They have enough notes with this car at the track, and now they have a 2-second advantage per run on everybody else. So it's to the point we need to switch it up, and this is where F1 puts in some big old – and now I don't want to become F1, but I do like that F1 from a year-to-year basis will find, oh, this team's found an advantage here. We're going to take away – that advantage from that team, and now they have to figure. I think that's something NASCAR should look into, especially if you want to make everything, the entire car, be stock. So that's another. If we got back to the car topic, we could definitely go down that road, but we're going to save that for another day. The next Fly the Flag is the next gen car is a lost cause. I guess that is the same topic, but Josh, starting with you.
I mean, it's given us okay races. It's given us some good races. Like in the beginning of the year, we all were excited about NASCAR. Now it's like we hit this middle of the year, halfway. I guess, yeah, halfway point basically. And it's like the last 3-4 races have been pretty bad. So I'm going to say yellow. I don't think it's completely a lost cause, but something has to change.
Bull?
I'm going to go green. I mentioned it to you, Colton, before the show. I have more fun watching the Xfinity and especially the Truck Series this year, putting on better races and better shows than the Cup Series.
Yeah, I can't argue with that whatsoever. And Xfinity Series, Truck Series, not so much, but definitely this year it's been the Truck Series. But in past years, the Xfinity Series has always kind of been known
If you're
as
not
that.
watching the Truck Series this year, yeah, you need to start. Them races this year have been phenomenal.
Hmm.
They've been having great races, and been highlight shows too. I know we were talking about it before. The Carson Hocevar with the middle finger all the way to
Yes,
through turns 3 and 4 down the front
yes,
stretch, the checkered flag was was pretty hilarious.
yes. No, that was awesome. Like, it's really sad because it's getting to a point where we're seeing people fantasizing about the Xfinity car, like just putting all the Cup drivers in the Xfinity car or truck car and letting them have at it. And Dale Jr. even brought up a stock car. We talked about that last week. Late model, I mean, not stock car. So yeah, and I'll go ahead with the yellow. I do think a green, if we're talking about this specific next gen car, I think there's always adjustments and whatnot you can make. You can give the teams more freedom in the car that they build, and I think that would improve. I think there's stuff you can do to improve this next gen car, and that's why I give it a yellow. But when we're talking about this next gen car as the state that it's currently at, I do give it a green. So, and then last fly the flag here as I accidentally closed the tab you guys were in. There you are. The last one, Kyle Larson is going to run away with this regular season trophy. I'll go ahead and give you mine. I think it's green. I think we are about ready. We were talking the Christopher Bell 10-win season. I think we're getting another Kyle Larson 10-win season. And, I guess I'm just maybe flying with the wind here and my thoughts, but it looks like Larson is a legitimate top 5 each week. And when you're in the top 5 each week, you have a chance to win each week. And that's how you stack up wins and you get those 10 wins.
For
Sorry,
me,
Josh.
it's pretty simple. We're 12 races in. He's got 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s. He's the best driver on the track every week, unless it's a super speedway. And even then, since Daytona, the other 2 super speedways, he showed decent speed. He's been up near the front. And he just catches some bad luck. Only 1 DNF on the year. Yeah, Kyle Larson's going to run away with it. As green as the grass it grows.
I'm also going to go green. I'm going to throw a caveat. 2021, Kevin Harvick. I think it was 2021. What was it? He had 8 wins that year.
Was that 2021 or 2020? That was the year Matt Kenseth was running for Larson. So I think that was 2020, right?
I knew it was 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
But he did not win that championship that year. So
Yeah, that's what I was want to make that point. If you want to make it for yourself.
So I think he is going to win the regular season, but I think he's using up all his luck. He's going to have a Kevin Harvick 2020 season.
Has anybody ever won the regular season and the playoffs? I maybe Larson when he won it. Other than that, I don't think anybody has, which is another interesting fact about the playoffs as to why we shouldn't have that. But we've talked enough about the playoffs. We've talked enough about how god awful half the stuff in this sport is right now. Maybe let's talk a little more positive. Oh wait, this is overreaction. Maybe we just skip the overreaction for this week and keep it positive and go to the power rankings. How's that sound? Because I think we've had a lot of reactions and overreactions to start this show.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, well, then let's go ahead and go on to the words power rankings. I'll go ahead and let Josh start because it's been a while since we've heard his power rankings, so I'm excited to see where his lie.
All right, yep. Sitting at number 5 is Ryan Blaney. Finally back in my top 5. The speed is there, just bad luck. I mean, if that dude had bad luck, or if that dude didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. There we go. Words mean things. Number 4 for me is surprisingly is Tyler Reddick. I still can't quite figure out what's going on with that car, why they didn't show up this week, because they did look bad in Kansas. I will be the first to admit that. It was a car that you were high on, Colton, but he's still kind of hanging around, still has some really good stuff. Number 3 would be William Byron. Pretty simple. 1 win. You know what? I forgot a driver. That's why Colton looked at me weird when I put Tyler Reddick in there. I realized who I forgot. Anyway, 3 was William Byron. 2 would be Christopher Bell, and number 1 is Kyle Larson, which means I somehow forgot Denny Hamlin existed in this planet.
Oh, yeah, no.
Who should have been on my list.
No, I left off, I think, Bell or somebody a couple weeks ago, so it happens.
Yeah, brain fart there. So
Yeah.
it should be Blaney, Hamlin, Byron, Bell, Larson.
It's probably because Hamlin's down in 7th in points. That can sometimes cause him to be out of mind. Bull, I'll let you give yours.
All right. Let's start with number 5. I got Kyle Larson.
Wait a minute.
Number 4. Also got Kyle Larson.
There we go. I was like, where is he going with this?
Number 3. As you can probably guess, we got Kyle Larson.
Wait, who do you have at number 2? Cliff Daniels driver?
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say Kyle Larson.
Does number 1 drive the 5 car?
He does. He drives the 5. Most of the time it's blue. Kyle Larson.
Absolutely valid list.
I really was so confused when you said him at number 5. But
I love the pause. I love the pause. You're like, wait a minute, 5?
I was waiting for it. I thought I was going to get a better reaction. It took you a minute. But no, seriously. Number 5, I got William Byron. Had the points lead, relinquished it this week to Kyle Larson. Had a good car, but the last couple weeks he has lost, really the last month, has lost all his speed and had some bad luck. Number 4, Denny Hamlin had 2 bad finishes in a row, has dropped down to 7th in points, had a blown engine at Texas last week, had a clutch go out this week at Kansas. Number 3, Ryan Blaney. As Josh said, he's had the speed all year. It's just been bad luck. He's finally put together 2 great races in a row. Had a 3rd place last week at Texas and a 2nd place this week at Kansas. Number 2, I got Bell moved back up to the 2nd spot. Had him drop down for a couple weeks. He had the 3 wins in a row earlier this year, and he's still fighting for top 5, top 10 finishes. And then number 1, obviously Kyle Larson. He's just been dominant this year. Got the wins, the top 5s, top 10s. Got the points lead, and I don't see anybody passing him. Taking over that number 1 spot.
Yep. I don't even have. We'll just get Kyle Larson out of the way at number 1. Like, come on now. At number 5, I want to put Chase Elliott. I think he's literally been my number 5 for a long time. Probably biased, but had race winning speed for the first time since COTA. Thank you, Ross Chastain. At number 4, I'm going William Byron. He lost his points lead, but he's held that points lead for most of the season, so get him some credit there. But he's 1 bad finish away from being off this list. Hamlin is off this list because of 2 bad finishes. So then I'll put Bell. I'm still kind of going back and forth on this one. I think I want to stick with Bell at the 5 or at the 3, sorry, because legitimately Blaney could have won this race. He could have won the race before on speed. So I'll give Blaney the benefit of the doubt because I feel like he showed a little more race winning speed at this part of the season than Bell. So give me Bell at number 3. He's got those 3 wins under his belt, and he's kind of, I wonder if they're kind of to the point of the season where they're just trying things for the playoffs. I know definitely some of the better teams tend to do that. So that could maybe where we see some of the fluctuation with him. Blaney is still, I think, the fastest car in the field. And so I'm going to keep him at number 2. Actually, really shooting up the list for me. I don't even know if I had him on my power rankings last week. And I already said number 1, Kyle Larson. So Blaney, let's get the job done. Don't just win don't win the All-Star race. Save your luck for the Coke 600. Let's get you a legendary win here, and get you started. Because I think if Blaney can get going, he can be the opposite to Larson. He can be the guy to oppose him. I think he's showed more speed consistently than Larson, because Larson had an iffy start, if we do remember, and then they kind of turned it around and figured it out. So I would love to see Blaney or anybody give Larson a challenge, and I think that's really the one way. Let's get a storyline going. Let's not just have the Kyle Larson show. I think that's one way to get my interest back in NASCAR, because it's been a rough couple of weeks for me. That's our power rankings, though. Is there any comments, anything you guys want to get out of there before we wrap up the show?
You talked about Blaney maybe being the biggest threat, but I still think it's Christopher Bell. I just needed to put that out there.
That's fair.
Obviously, the 3 wins, 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s, but there is 2 DNFs in there. But Blaney's got 4. So
yeah. Yeah, and if you think about it, you got those 2 DNFs. Bell's still 3rd in the point standings right now. So if he finishes around the top 10 where he tends to finish, he's probably right up there with Byron and Larson in the point standings. So you're absolutely right. Bell is another guy who we were talking about, is anybody going to oppose him earlier in the year? And Larson might be the guy to do it. And now we kind of pushed Bell to the side, and Larson's the new shiny toy. So, that's a great point. Bell is still absolutely a player. I really just hope somebody can find their stride and just give Larson something. Anybody.
I know Josh is probably going to call me a homer, but nobody's talking about Denny now.
That's true. That's another person that needs to be in that
now.
Conversation.
Until he does it, we can't believe in him. That's the problem, Bull. It's kind of like nobody believed Dale was ever going to win. 20 years, finally did it. So you know what? Go Denny, go prove me wrong. Go win it. I hope he does. It would be sad if he would be number 1 all time and not have a championship. I would feel very bad for Denny. But until he does it, I'm not going to believe it. He's not even top 4 right now and on the track. So
yeah, until we see. No, you can respond. You can respond.
Come on, not even top 4.
I just do it to piss you off, Bull. You should know this by now.
You were the one that was actually watching the race on TV. You know he had the fastest
car.
No,
he did. He did, absolutely. Like you mentioned, his day was just ruined because the words are slipping through my mind right now. I can think what they were calling.
Clutch.
Thank you. The clutch went out, because it literally went out on pit road when he was trying to leave his pit stall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up with this. I want to bring this man's name up. So we talk top 16 in NASCAR. There's a person sitting currently 15th in points and would be in the playoffs because Barry would jump Parise technically. But 15th, despite not leading a lap this year, only 2 top 10s, 1 top 5, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
He's still hanging in there. I didn't even notice. I didn't go that far down the list.
Somebody didn't watch last week, Colton.
Yeah, I guess not. Man,
it was finals week. Sue me. All right. It was finals week. Sue me.
Well, the best way, Josh, to listen to the Slide Job podcast is to be a part of it. And you did that this week, so you don't have to worry about listening to it.
One more question. Have you all had a chance to watch the NASCAR show on Netflix yet?
No, I need to. I might actually do that before I go to bed tonight.
All I'm going to say is we need Marty Smith back in NASCAR.
Oh, 100%.
That was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
That was my biggest takeaway.
Can we replace my joy with Marty Smith?
I wouldn't say no.
I had to go back after watching, because he is all in the show. Like, really? There's a lot of Marty Smith in the show, and I had to go back and watch that famous interview after Dale Jr.'s last race with Marty Smith. That I had to go back and watch that, and we need that man back in NASCAR.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
After you watch it, Colton, I would love to hear your thoughts on episode 2.
Okay.
With Daniel Suarez's wife and her comments.
Love
to hear your reaction on that one.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I'll get to episode 2 till tomorrow, but when I do, I will definitely, I'll send you a text on my thoughts. I'll be keeping an eye out for him now. That definitely got me to make sure to watch it. So, all right. So we rambled to about 45 minutes. I'll go ahead and wrap up the show. As soon as I saw Bull's reaction to Denny Hamlin, I was just like, get my popcorn here and watch the show unfold. So glad we ended up the episode on that. If you guys didn't be sure to hit that subscribe button. A lot of y'all have been hitting that. We're almost to 300 subscribers, guys. So we're moving places. The what ifs have kind of helped, but the podcast is getting some better views as well. So it's nice seeing the channel grow and all of that. This was the first episode officially as a part of the CX Podcast Network. I don't think I'm going to post this on there to avoid confusion, but if you guys are interested in basketball and baseball is not quite there yet. I don't know if you have any updates on that, Josh, but
yeah, we're going to get that hopefully up and running next week once Garrett's back in town.
Awesome.
Obviously, he's busy with his move down to Nashville for the summer.
Right, of course. So be sure to go to CX Podcast Network. I will try to link it. I'll be honest, I have to get up really early tomorrow, so I'll probably be too much in a rush to link it in this description. But I don't know what that little gesture was about, Josh.
Most violent in the world, playing for your sympathy.
Okay, all right, buddy. Anyways, I'm just going to wrap up the show. Be sure to check out CX Podcast Network. I'm sure we'll talk a little more about it as it goes on. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at LFC__99 so you can see me cry about Chase Elliott. Follow Josh at JNorth1989 and Bull at Bull_81818. Thank you all for coming on to the show, and we will see you all in the next one. Peace.